This player doesn't need much of an introduction. He's won 25 PBA titles. He's won the most majors with 13. And he's been 5-time PBA Player of the Year, Jason Belmonte. So we've talked about what makes all the players unique. I'm not sure Jason's unique because he's two-handed. There are a lot of two-handed bowlers now. But there are some things that Jason does very, very well. And there's one thing I think he does better than anybody else that allows him to do all the different things he can do with the bowling ball. So let's quit talking about it and let's get to the videos and let's see what Jason Belmonte does. Okay, so now I have Jason queued up from the side. And let's go ahead and watch him just throw the shot. You know, the form you've gotten used to seeing on TV, pretty much every major and quite a few other shows. So, let's talk about Jason just for a second here before we start tearing down his game and looking at a few things. The thing that makes Jason unique, or what is Jason really good at? Let's talk about that first. Why does he have so much success on such hard patterns and so much success all the time? I think it's his ability to change his ball speed, his rotation, and his angles pretty much at will is his strength. His ability to do what he wants to the bowling ball is very, very good. Think about it another way. When's the last time you saw Jason Belmonte throw it as hard as he can and hit it for everything he's worth? When's the last time you saw Jason really throw it hard and put his heaviest rev rate on it? I don't think we ever see Jason do that. Jason's always modifying everything. He's throwing it harder, he's throwing it slower, he's adding rotation, taking rotation off, throwing urethane, playing out, more end over end roll. I think Jason's greatest attribute is ability to change his ball speed and his rotation to match the angles he wants to play to get the ball to the certain spot down lane. So, how does he accomplish that? I think what makes Jason unique is something that nobody really looks at. Let's take his form. From the moment he starts to the moment he throws it. Let's say there's 100% effort. I think Jason Belmonte can get to this position right here with the least amount of effort used by any other bowler I've ever watched. What I mean by that is, it doesn't take much effort. It looks effortless for Jason to get here every time. So if we're talking about 100% effort and he only uses 5% to get here, at the moment of release down here, he has stored up all this energy and all this effort to do whatever it is he wants to do at the bottom of the swing. So I think Jason's greatest attribute is how effortless it is for him to get to the timing spot. What I mean by the timing spot? Obviously for one-handers, I measure a certain way. When your foot gets flat in front of your head, I think your swing should be parallel to the ground. Now for two-handers, I measure slightly different. I still use the foot flat in front of their head, but then I measure their left arm. When they get to this position, I want to see this left arm flat, parallel to the floor. If I see that, then I know two-handers are in time. And I think if you look at this picture right here, I think this is the logo Jason uses on his bowling balls and his shirts and all the things he sells. So obviously this is a very good spot for Jason because it's his logo. So I think his uniqueness is his ability to get to this spot without a whole lot of effort. That allows him to do whatever he wants here. So that's one way of looking at Jason. Now the other side of this equation is fundamentals. Because for a long time, everybody thought Jason's biggest advantage was being two-handed. I don't think that applies anymore. There are too many other good two-handers in the world besides Jason Belmonte. So I think the first thing we looked at was how easy it is for him to get to here to allow him to do the things he wants on the bottom of the swing. Well, there has to be something else to make this guy as good as he is. I think Jason has some unbelievable fundamentals, and now we're going to look at that from a few different ways. Okay, so now we're going to start looking at Jason's fundamentals from a coaching standpoint. Remember what I said in the beginning. I think Jason's ability to get to the timing spot with the least amount of effort possible is what makes him so unique. What starts that? Here we go. Let's get him queued up. Start playing this right here. This would be Jason's second step. So here we see it from the side. One thing I've noticed with Jason, his ability to get himself balanced in the second step is really, really good. What I mean by that, if I draw a line from his head down through his foot, that's about as good as it gets. His balance right there is perfect. So now, let's go ahead and do it from the back. So we'll measure the same exact spot, but now if we measure it this way, look what happens this way. Not only is his head on from the side, but now look at it from the back. Again, he is in perfect balance from the back and the side in his second step. I think what that does, that allows, because you'll notice Jason actually has a fairly good push away. He doesn't just drop it and pull back with his shoulders. When that second step is so dialed in, that allows this swing to be really soft to get back. And then he gets his pivot step almost under his head. Then he gets to the timing spot. Like I said, when that foot gets flat in front of your head, for two-handers, I want to see that left arm parallel. There it is. So now that's a timing spot. What is Jason also good at? His ability to control his speed. And that's all created by spine tilt. Look at Jason's spine tilt here. We're going to measure it. So it's around 50 degrees. I'm just drawing a line from his ear as best I can see it through his hip. So you want to see less than 10 degrees of change from the timing spot through the release point. So let's get it down here to the bottom. And we'll stop right there. Now let's draw that same line through those same two places. Again, we're going to draw from his ear, there we go, down through his hip. Well, there you go. That's more I like it up here. So 47, 48 degrees. It went from 50 to 48. If it's less than 10, that's really good. If it's less than 5, that's world class. So Jason's upper body only moves 2 to 3 degrees from the timing spot through the release point. So what does that do? That creates an unbelievably consistent launch angle and unbelievably consistent speed control. Why is that so important for Jason Belmonte? Because his rev rate's so high. If your rev rate's that high and you can't control where your ball slows down, one's going to hook by it, one's not going to hook at all, and one's going to hit the pocket. High rev rate's great, but you have to be able to control that spot down lane, and obviously he does that very, very well. So, from the side, all the things I look at, he measures really, really well. Let's take a look from the back. You will notice right here, the second step's good. Like we talked about last week, that third step. I'm not sure who started it first. You can see it kind of goes over to the left, kind of like Tom Smallwood. What that does, it gets Jason's hips open, and he never has to reclose them. So now his pivot step goes inside his head, and here you go. Same timing spot again, but this part's beautiful, where his pivot step and his slide are almost exactly on the same board. Let's look at it from another view from the back. Here we go. Again, that third step. He's trying to get the ball. See how his hips open up with that third step being so open? Instead of a crossover step and his third step going in front of him, he crosses over and that third step goes left. Now his hips are open to his target. Now he doesn't have to move his hips around much anymore. Then he drops it in here. Again, look how good this is. You can see the boards. He's within a half a board of sliding on the same board. So now when you get here in the timing spot, right there, now if you could look at his breastplate, his belt buckle, and his swing path, they are all going the same place. He's aiming, so we get here. It looks like he's aiming about 3-4 down lane somewhere. Let's see where the ball goes. It actually goes to 2, and it comes up for a solid 4. So he got there a little quick. But look at the ball path, and look at his body position. Look how his body doesn't move, and look at the ball path. It's really cool because the line is in the lane. His body doesn't have to reroute anything. His ability to get his body open to the spot allows him to hit his target. Again, he gets here. So now let's measure something else from the timing spot. Let's measure his lateral spine tilt, which gives you a slot for your swing. Even though it's two-handed, it's still a swing. So here's a line. It's just right down your spine, as best I can draw it. There's no specific number it needs to be. So you look at it right there. Watch this. I don't have to redraw the line. His spine never leaves that line. So Jason not only has one of the higher rev rates in the history of the game, because his upper body doesn't move laterally very much, it puts his swing in a slot, so his swing is going exactly where he's aiming. He doesn't have to reroute it. And as always, all the two-handers, the whole reason why you want to be two-handed, if the ball was the earth, two-handers get to bowl from Antarctica. So they get a quarter of the ball to rotate with not much effort. As you can see it, there's two places to turn the ball, behind your heel, front of your toe. Obviously, Jason Belmonte is turning it at his toe pretty much every shot. As you can see how he throws it. He goes down there, his balance is spot on, and he hits the pocket. Let's look at his balance for those who like to have their foot come off the approach. We'll measure this two ways. Measure from the back. Let's do it from the back first. When I watch people with the back foot come off, all I'm really looking for is this knee not to get higher than that knee. Why? It's like a teeter-totter effect. If we put it on from the side, there you go. You'll see that back knee stays below the front knee. What happens when that happens is he can keep his balance so good, his knee stays back. So then if you get here and you measure from the side, look where his head and his knee are. How good that balance is. When your balance is that good, all the power in his body is in his core. Let's move this block up here. So that's good. See where this is? Because the way his legs work. So you go and throw it, and he balances himself. So he would move this box up into here somewhere. But that's where the main part of the weight of his body is, by this knee and this knee being on the same level, or this one slightly below. If this knee were to get higher than this knee, this box would shift off here. He would step to the right. Where does that come into play? If he did that, he couldn't stay behind the ball here. If this part of his body went forward and this leg went up, this shoulder would go forward, his hand would rotate to the outside. That's something Jason very, very rarely does because his body position is so good here. And that's all caused by the ability to get to that timing spot. With such small effort, he's able to regulate not only his upper body from the side, but he's also able to regulate his upper body from the back. So as you can see, Jason Belmonte's fundamentals are very, very sound. No matter how you measure it, whether he's one-handed or two-handed, throwing the bowling ball is throwing a bowling ball. His fundamentals are excellent from a coaching standpoint. There's a reason why this man has so much success, and a lot of it has to do with this. That is such good positioning. Ball's directly under his head. Again, you can see that back leg. Here's a really good example. Here's his knee, and here's his front knee. So that regulates all this weight staying in here. So the ball goes where Jason wants. Now if we take it here from a different spot inside, again, that back knee. See, this one got a little higher, and as you'll notice, he did step off a little early for Jason. But more importantly, where did he turn it? Where's the ball? Directly under his head. Where's his hand? On the bottom of the ball. A little more rotation. He put a little something on this one. And there's the result. Obviously, we see that result from Jason quite a bit. There's a lot of things he does right in his game. His fundamentals are sound. I don't care if it's one-handed or two-handed. He's here to stay. And like I said, the thing I think is unique about Jason is how little effort, you can really see from the back, how little effort he uses to get here. So if you don't use much energy to get to the moment of truth, you have more options when it matters at release. And I think, like I said, I've never worked with Jason in my life. Just watching him on TV and watching him in person, I think he doesn't get enough credit for his ability to change his speeds and change his rotation, because this spot right here down lane, his ball's pretty much always in that zone when he's playing in or when he's playing out sometimes. His ability to manage these 3 or 4 feet from the gutter all the way to about 9 board is pretty impressive. And I think what does that or how good his fundamentals are and how little effort he puts in to get to the timing spot. Really enjoyed looking at Jason Belmonte's videos. Thanks, Jason.